Good morning, everyone. So in the last class, we have studied about root morphology, morphological features of root, structure of root, function of root. So first few question answers from the previous topic. Write your answer quickly in your chat box. First, towards the base, the region of root we call towards the base, root base, regions, three regions are there. Yes, Zenil, correct answer. Meristematic towards the base, that's the meristematic zone. Sure. Very good. Root cap. Towards the base, root cap, region of meristematic zone, like this, right? Remember, which is the base? Suppose this is the root, then this A part is base or B part is base? A part. So A part we called which zone? Correct, Meet. Region of maturation. Next. Towards the tip, which zone is present? At the tip zone, I'm asking about zone. Yes, that's the which one? Zone of or region of meristematic. Between meristematic and maturation, which zone is present? Elongation. Correct. Next one. When root arise from the radical, then we call correct Gala first one, taproot system. And when root arise from the other than the radical, we call adventitious root. Other than the radical, remember adventitious root. In that, remember this. Below, particularly in weak, in lone, from the base of the stem, roots are formed, and that roots fibrous in nature, because in that primary root is short-lived. So that type of roots we call fibrous root system. Actually, adventitious, remember, it's one of the type that's the fibrous. Next. श्रेया, आपको क्या डाउट है? Unmute and speak. श्रेया, speak.
तो मैम हाँ मैम, वो कल आपने समझाया था ना कि सलाइन लैंड में न्यूमेटोफोर्स करके रूट्स होते हैं मैम। दूसरे दो टाइप के थे ना मैम, वो आप वापस से रिपीट करोगे?
प्रॉप रूट एंड स्टिल रूट.
हाँ मैम वही मैम, वो कहाँ पे प्रेजेंट होते हैं? हाँ मैम वही प्रॉप रूट और स्टिल रूट वाले.
ओके, उसमें कोई पर्टिकुलर डाउट है आपका? Roots main function: absorption of water and minerals and encouragement. Roots can perform other functions also for that they modify themselves. Like that one of the example, to give a mechanical support to support the that's entire plant. For that, one it's a prop roots and second stilt root. Prop root in that example banyan tree. Banyan tree, it's a very huge, and their branches are growing horizontally, and their branches are even heavy and thick also. They are spread like this. So it might be like due to their its own weight, these branches can fall off. So to prevent from the branches of the stem, from the branches of the stem, roots are developed that we call, see here, other than the radical roots are developed. So that we call adventitious type of root. These are which one? Adventitious roots. These prop roots, which are a thin thread-like structures, they are grows downward and they have the ability to make their own root system. Okay, and by that way, from the all the sides, it can give the support to the main main plant body. So that's why, and these are, पता है इसको रोप के फॉर्म में यूज करते हैं, देन स्विंग बनाने के लिए. So the name given simple, it used as a prop, so prop roots. Shreya, understood?
हाँ मैम, थैंक यू, अब समझ गई.
Okay, stilt root, next one. Stilt root in that examples: wheat, maize, sugarcane. Sugarcane, particularly stem part, actually edible, which we can eat. Okay, juice of sugarcane, और आपने वो stem देखा, it's a very very thin and long also, thin and long. So one thing, they have their own root system, but root system is very very superficial. This superficial root system cannot help to remain this long thin stem erect. So for that, again, to from falling down, to prevent from the falling down, see on the stem, I told you that on sugarcane at a certain regions, at certain regular intervals, this type of the structures are present. These are nodes. Now next. So from the nodes which are nearer to the ground, roots are developed. And these roots growing obliquely downward. And by that way, it gives the support to the main axis. So that's why these prop roots and stilt roots, these are known as the stilt root. They are also adventitious type of roots because they are arise from the stem, not the radical. So remember, prop roots and stilt roots for the mechanical support. Shreya, understood?
यस मैम. और मैम इन दोनों टाइप के जो रूट्स होते हैं, तो इनका मेन रूट सिस्टम तो फाइब्रस रूट सिस्टम ही होगा ना?
नहीं, इसमें टैप रूट है, डाइकोट है, बनियन ट्री डाइकोट है, टैप रूट सिस्टम हियर, that's a fibrous root system.
Okay ma'am, thank you.
Next. Now the next one, that's the main stem part. Stem, when the young, okay, when the young stem is there, remember, greenish in color. Young stem develop greenish in color. Later on it becomes brownish, woody. Now, soil surface, below the soil root axis, and above the soil This one we call descending part. This one we call ascending part. So stem is the ascending part of the axis which bears on that see branches are there. On branches leaves are present. फिर इसमें flowers आते हैं. Flower से fruit form होता है. Right? So definition of the stem, that the stem is the ascending part of the axis, plant axis, which bears branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits. Next, remember when seed germination takes place, I have explained two processes come outside. Which one forms stem axis? Which one forms stem axis? Can you tell me that name? Jugal, try kiya, but gala correct. Plumule. Okay, it's a which one? Plumule. Next feature of stem that simply आप sugar cane एक याद रखो तो आपको understand हो जाएगा. At the certain intervals, this type of structures are present on the stem, and these are we call node. These are known as node. These all are known as node. Now, the region between two successive nodes, the region between two successive nodes, 1, 2, 3, suppose. So between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, this part we call internode. This one also internode. So remember, stem का ये characteristic feature है. On root, these things are not present, nodes, internodes. On stem, nodes, internodes are present. Remember, that's why. आप देखो, one is a potato, other is a sweet potato. Can you tell me sweet potato is a root or stem? Last time we have discussed, yes, sweet potato is a root. Basically, it's a root. Next, but potato is a stem. Now, both are grow inside the soil. Both are grow inside the soil. Then how can we say inside the earth or below the soil? That we call the root system. So why potato we call it a stem and not a root? Because on the potato, अपने potato के ऊपर अगर इसको 1 week के लिए रखो तो उसके ऊपर ऐसे structures आपने देखे होंगे. फिर gradually flowers भी आते हैं वहां पे. Have you observed this thing? Okay, so this potato, okay, these structures, ये जो structures है ये वाले, these are indicates nodes are present. These are indicate actually उसका stem ही ऐसा है, right? But उसमें भी food store होता है, and then it becomes swollen. So जहाँ जहाँ पे nodes है तो ये structures form हो जाते हैं. So remember, potato on that these nodes and internodes are present. That's why we call it a stem. These things are absent in case of sweet potato. So that's why we call it a root. If you have any doubt in this, unmute and speak now. So I can repeat. Okay, no one. So remember on the stem, these two things are present, nodes, internodes are there. And wherever the nodes are present, remember, nodes are there. That is the indication point. If from here now leaves form. Because at the node, one thing is also remember, bird is present. Bird is a cellular mass. Which cells are present in that? Meristematic cells. So remember, at the node region, swollen structures are present. That swollen structures we called bud. That is present See, two types of the birds are there. One at the tip part, swollen structure. Other at the sides. Sides we call axillary. साइड्स वी कॉल एक्सिलरी बिकॉज यहाँ से लीफ भी अराइज होता है तो उसका जो ये एंगल होता है दैट इज इन एक्सिल पोजिशन दैट्स व्हाई द नेम गिवन इट्स अ एक्सिलरी बर्ड and this one we call apical bird. Bird, remember, in bird is a cell mass. Meristematic cells are present. Meristematic cell, and you know meristematic cells has the ability to continuously divide, form new cells, which induces growth, right? So over here, when the which vegetative parts are formed at that time, leaves are formed. Here, leaves are formed. Clear axillary bird, terminal or apical bird. Terminal and apical same term. If you have any doubt in this, you can ask. Okay. Next. So these are the features of stem. Remember, ascending axis, on that branches, leaves, flower, fruits are arranged, arise from the plumule of the embryo of that seed, germinating seed. It bears nodes, internodes. Next, between the two successive nodes, we call internode. Next, stem has buds, apical or axillary. Stem generally greenish in color when younger in stage, and later on it becomes dark brown woody. Now the functions. Functions, one thing, on the stem, leaves are present. Here, root system. So leaf prepares the food by photosynthesis. That food is translocated through the stem axis to the root. Root also need food. Next, and root absorb water and minerals from the soil. So that thing transported towards the leaf. So this stem axis, remember, helps in conduction of water, minerals, and food. Photosynthetes. We call photosynthetes. So remember, conduction of food, water, and photosynthesis. That's a mineral, water, and photosynthesis. Next, stem axis on that branches spreading of branches and on which the leaves spreading of branches in a such a way that each and every leaves get the sufficient amount of sunlight. So leaves, flower, fruits, these things are arranged on that branches. Next, these are the common functions. Again, like a root, stem also modified to perform different functions, like storage of food, support, जैसे हमने मैकेनिकल सपोर्ट किया, फिर प्रोटेक्शन करता है, वेजिटेटिव प्रोपोगेशन में हेल्प करता है. So now we are going to study about that. First, some question answers. Tell me, on stem, what type of birds are present? Correct. Apical and axillary. And in this bird, which cells are present? Next, can you give me the location of that axillary bird? Internode wrong, Rishi. Yes, others are correct. At the nodal reach, where the nodes are there, And nodes are there where which structure, which vegetative part of the plant can grow. Correct, leaves. Now next thing, that's modifications of stem. In that first one, storage of food. Very easy. Storage of food. Remember this for storing of food, underground stem. These all are what type of stem? Underground. See, stem has two parts. One is a aerial, other is a underground part. So underground part, on that the branches are there. So particularly for potato, see, underground part of the stem which has the branches. These branches, particularly at the tip part, food gets stored and it becomes swollen. Tip part of the branches, over here, food gets stored and it becomes swollen structure. Okay, and this swollen structure that we call potato, scientifically we call it's a tuber structure. Okay, this one we call the tuber. Tuber, tuber. See, this is the potato, and remember, that's a special name given to this. That's the tuber. Now on that, this type of structures are present. See, axillary bud. This type. Okay, eyes बोलते हैं इसको. ऐसे structures होते हैं blackish color के, right? So these are known as the eyes. They are made up of what? Axillary bud, and this bud they are surrounded by, आप देखोगे तो पेपरी स्ट्रक्चर होता है, easily can break, transparent पेपरी structure that we call scaly leaves, which are not greenish in color. It just give protection to this bud. It gives protection to this axillary bud. So that leaves we call scaly leaves. Green leaves होंगे तो वो photosynthesis करेंगे. Scaly leaves present with this bud to give the protection. So remember, after storing the food, that branches, underground branches of stem that become swollen at the tip, and this we call tuber. On tuber, these structures are present, right? And due to this structure, presence of this structure, पोटेटो के सीड्स, आपने ये सुना है कि पोटेटो के सीड्स फार्मर ग्रो सो करता है इनटू द सॉइल एंड फ्रॉम दैट पोटेटो डेवलप? नो, राइट? Directly potato that germinated, this type of potato, sow into the soil, and from that the new plant can easily develop. So इसके दो benefit है. It can store the food, it can help in vegetative propagation also. Remember, storage of food में भी help करता है, and it will helpful for what? It helps in second function is what? Vegetative propagation. It can develop the new plant because birds में meristematic tissues है, so it can easily develop new plant. Can you tell me? I have explained this thing in root. Why this plant store food in the stem part? What is the reason behind that? श्रेया बोलो तो श्रेया.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the reason? Remember for root, Shreya. Okay, leave it. See.
हेलो
बोलो.
मैम.
हाँ बोलो. ओके श्रेया, आई थिंक नेटवर्क इश्यूज है. इट्स
मैम.
हाँ बोलो. Shreya, mute yourself now. See, remember when autumn season or leaf fall season is there, at that time leaves shading process occur. So without leaf, how the photosynthesis food can be formed? So during that inactive period, dormant period, in that dormant period to survive, some of the plants store the food in the root, some of the plants store the food in the stem. To survive, remember in that dormant or inactive period. To survive in which one? Dormant or inactive period. Example, that autumn season. So these organs means the stored food organs that helps to grow in an unfavorable conditions also. To grow in an unfavorable conditions also. Remember. Next. Other example, that's the ginger. जिंजर अगर फ्रेश जिंजर है ना, तो आपने इसके ऊपर देखा होगा ऐसे मार्किंग्स होते हैं जिंजर के ऊपर. एंड वेयर द मार्किंग्स आर देयर, अगेन सेम here some papery structures, transparent structures are present, right? So this markings indicates what? Nodes. These are what? Nodes, right? Next, nodes, then this type of the small structures are there. This is the main axis. Then next, this type of birds are formed. Okay, from that birds, see these are the nodes. So that's why our birds are there. These birds gradually grow, and from that the new ginger can form even. So same thing. See, this is the horizontal stem axis. In that, when food is stored, it becomes thick and fleshy. स्टेम है, so stem के features इसमें मिलेंगे हमें. Nodes are there, then birds are there. This thing, after storing the food, it will help in vegetative propagation also. From the ginger, when we sow this ginger into the soil, from that we can easily develop the ginger plant, right? So once the food is stored in that stem of the ginger, then the specialized name given, it's a rhizome. Rhizome और उसको root stock भी बोलते हैं. Rhizome or root stock. Remember. Can you tell me for potato which is the special name is given? Correct. Tuber. Next, for ginger, which special name is given? Rhizome or rootstock. Correct. Now the next third one. Okay, ginger के जैसा पता है आपको और एक turmeric, आंबा हळदर. Same structure to the ginger. Yes or no? So for turmeric also, that rhizome and rootstock word is given. Next, that's the Zaminkant, Colocasia or Amorphophallus. Third name, that's the Amorphophallus. Amorphophallus and Zaminkant both are same. In Gujarati we call Suran. Right? आपने देखा होगा, it's a huge structure. So underground stem, right over here, underground stem. In that, on the stem, nodes, internodes are there. Only this single internodal region. Only this single internodal region that store the food and becomes swollen. Just imagine, right? So that structure, that specialized structure name given, it's a comb. This one specialized name is given, it's a which one? Comb. Remember. So Amorphophallus or Zaminkant, Gujarati we call Suran. Remember, in that underground stem has nodes, internodes. Only the one single internode store the food and becomes swollen, flashy, and that after storing the food, now this much part of the stem that we call comb. This thing can also be observed in case of colocasia. Colocasia, you know that patarvella pan, उसमें भी ऐसा structure form होता है. In that leaves are that's the main edible part. But remember, colocasia, in that also comb structure is formed. Clear? So these are the some of the example for storage of food in stem. Next, next part for the stem tendrils. Now, first of all, understand those stem, those stem, remember, which have very thin, if the stem is very thin and weak, if the stem that is very, very thin and weak, can you tell me this type of stem can remain erect by itself? No, right? So it needs support. It needs support. So for that, see, again, stem hai. So remember, nodes, internodes are there. Axillary bud is present. Leaves यहाँ पे form होते हैं with that. Next one. Here, stem, on the stem axillary bud is present. This axillary bud get modified into long spirally coiled structure. Long, slender, spirally coiled structure. And this structure we call tendril that arise from the stem part, particularly which part is getting modified, axillary bud. This one we call stem tendril. Now, this stem tendril, suppose over here any support is there, other plant, other plant which is growing over here. So it just twine around, okay, this tendril, it twine around to the supporting plant. It twine around to the supporting plant or any other thing which helps to this thin and weak stem to remain erect. This thing is necessary for to get sufficient amount of sunlight and perform photosynthesis and prepare their own food. That's why this type of structures are formed in some of the plants. Example one, that's a cucumber. Cucumber, you know, right? Cucumber, watermelon, grapes, grapevine, pumpkin, even bottle gourd, bitter gourd, dudhi, karela. Okay, bottle gourd, bitter gourd. Remember all these example extra है. Cucurbita even. एक है cucumber, दूसरा cucurbita. Then passion flower. This is the example of passion flower diagram. Clear? So these are the examples. Remember cucumber, watermelon, grapevine, pumpkin, bottle gourd, bitter gourd, cucurbita, passion flower. In these plants, we observe this structure that the axillary bird gets modified into spirally coiled slender structure, which helps plants to climb erectly, which helps to climb plant erectly so it can get sufficient amount of sunlight and perform their photosynthesis. Bolo. Clear stem tendrils. If you have any doubt in this one, unmute and speak.
મેમ
બોલો.
તમે જે ક્રીપર્સ ના નામ બોલ્યા ને બિટર બધું એ ફરીથી બોલો ને એકવાર.
હા, note down. Bitter gourd, bottle gourd, bitter gourd, bottle gourd, watermelon, cucurbita, passion flower, pumpkin, cucumber. Now next modification, that is thorn. See, first जो हमने किया stem tendril, in that axillary bud get modified into tendril because उसको climbing required. Now over here same thing, that the stem axis, on that nodes, internodes are there, birds are present, axillary birds are there. Next, here leaves are present. Now in some of the plant, axillary bird that modified into the form of thorn. Okay, axillary birds get modified into woody, straight, pointed structure. Woody, straight, pointed structure, and this structure we call thorn, which are modified from which one? Axillary bird. Thorn, you know that for which purpose? That's a protection. It's a pointed structure. Now, protection from what? So some of the animals are there, they have the ability to eat this stem part. Leaves generally eat karte grazing, but if stem part is also some of the animal can eat, then this type of animals we call browsing animals. And so to protect plant from that browsing animals, plants develop this type of the pointed structures, and that we call the thorn. Example, citrus, lemon. Okay, so, one of the example, that's a lemon. Then bougainvillea. बोगेनवेलिया आई थिंक आप सबने देखा होगा, ये रोड लाइन पे बहुत सारे होते हैं, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट कलर्स के, वायलेट, ब्लू, पिंक, white, so many different color flowers are there, so many varieties of this bougainvillea are there. So citrus and bougainvillea, in that this type of modification we can observe that axillary bud modified into the thorn. Again, one more time. This is the stem axis. On that, nodes are there. Nodes hai, so always remember leaf arise, right? And with the leaf at the axil position, this axillary bud is present. So here, जैसे pumpkin, watermelon, उसमें क्या था? ये पार्ट से टेंड्रिल फॉर्म होता था. So over here tendril it's not formed because उसको climbing की requirement नहीं है. यहाँ पे क्या है? Protection. Sorry. So for that, from that axillary bud, pointed structures arise, woody straight pointed structure arise, and it will gives the protection. So जैसे ही कोई browsing animal आएगा and try to eat this plant, actually these animals, okay, they can't able to eat because over here pointed structures are there which can irritate them. Example, citrus and bougainvillea. Clear? Now next, with this thorn, one more information. आपने देखा होगा रोज में होता है ऐसा, राइट? रोज में आपने देखे होंगे. Yes or no? Right. But in rose में जो thorns होते हैं, pointed structure, thorns नहीं, pointed structure, can we easily break? Yes or no? Yes, right? So remember, ये जो one thing, actual thorns are there. Thorns जो pointed structures form हुए, right? They are not arise from the just outermost layer of the stem. From the deep inside layer, this type of structure is formed. Whereas in case of that one of the example, rose, in that stem का outermost layer, epidermal layer that we call, and this epidermal layer at certain points form this curved structure, pointed curved structure. So this, just a second. See, pointed structure. And these pointed structures, they are arise from just outermost layer. That's why we can easily break. And these are known as prickles. These are known as what? Prickles. They are not exactly the thorn. Thorn and prickle का difference क्या होगा? If this pointed structure, when we observe on the stem axis, and those can easily break, remember they are prickles. Those cannot, remember they are thorns, actual thorns. Okay, it just epidermal cells जो है उसका यहाँ पे growth हुआ है in that curved form in prickles. If you have any doubt in this, unmute and speak now. If you have any doubt in this, unmute and speak. Okay, it seems you have no doubt. Next one. Okay, good. If you have no doubt, it's good. Chalo, next. Do you know this plant? Observe किया होगा आपने ये. Okay, cactus, that name Opuntia. Name is what? Opuntia. Remember, it's a cactus, but it's a specific name. That's a which one? Opuntia. Now, understand this one is very, very important, even for NEET also. Because entire plant, see the entire plant. So यहाँ से एक one part है, second, third, ऐसे structures है इसमें, right? Now, so ये तो ग्रीनिश कलर का है, तो आपको स्टेम दिखता है इसमें ग्रीन कलर के, तो लीफ होते हैं, right? So now understand over here that this is actually the stem, and why here the stem becomes greenish in color. So this one, you know, first of all, Opuntia cactus is a desert plant. And can you tell me desert plant facing which problem? Desert plant, yes, water scarcity, water shortage, correct. Scarcity of water. Now, in desert, you know that temperature even too much high. So, and on leaf, you know that stomata are present. On leaf, stomata are present. Stomata perform which function? Stomata role, correct. Transpiration. Transpiration meaning, remember, water loss in the form of water vapor. Water loss in the form of water vapor. So now, just imagine, desert plant, एक तो scarcity of water है, और उसमें भी suppose leaves are larger, leaves are there, and on that on leaves, you know, so many stomata are present, temperature even very high, so easily water can evaporate in the form of water vapor. Transpiration takes place, water released outside into the atmosphere in the form of transpiration. Now in the form of water vapor, that we call transpiration. So plants में तो क्या हो जाएगा, वाटर शॉर्टेज की वजह से उसका ग्रोथ नहीं होगा. So to avoid from this opuntia plant, okay, this opuntia plant, this is the stem axis, these are the stem, right? Now next, on that the leaves are present. Just imagine over here leaves are there. These all leaves are modified into, आपको दिख रहे spiny structures है. These all are spiny structures. See, so many on leaf, on that stem. So leaves getting modified into spiny structure. Leaves getting modified into spine. Remember, leaf अगर modified होता है ना, remember this thing. Again I am telling. If leaf modified into pointed structure, that we call spine. And if stem modified, that we call thorn. आपको ये डिफरेंस पता होना चाहिए, prickle, thorn and spine. Do you have now any doubt in this one? If leaf modified into pointed structure, we call spine. If stem meaning any part of the stem, axillary bud जैसे modified होता है, that we call thorn. And if just outer epidermal growth, that we call prickle. So here all leaves, not a single leaf, all leaf get modified into the spiny structure. अभी leaf तो spine में convert हो गया. Now, so who will prepare the food for that plant? So for that, now stem possess chlorophyll in them. See, इसमें chlorophyll है. And due to the presence of chlorophyll in stem, they become greenish in color. Now they can perform the photosynthesis and prepare the food. Here, see the stem becomes flat because our stems, branches, and all that, they are flat. So some plants of arid region, dry region, desert region, they modified their stem into flattened structure by possessing chlorophyll to perform photosynthesis. That stem, here stem perform which function? Photosynthesis by possessing chlorophyll in them, right? So that stem we call phylloclade. Remember, clade का मीनिंग होता है स्टेम, फाइलो का मीनिंग होता है लीफ लाइक. So now stem behaves like a leaf, means perform photosynthesis and prepare the food for the plant. So one of the example for photosynthesis, that is which one? Opuntia. Second example, Euphorbia. ऐसे ही और एक plant है that we call the which one? Euphorbia. Euphorbia, in that उसका structure ये cylindrical stem है उसमें. Okay, on that cylindrical stems are there. Here leaves are present, but very, very small and few. Very, very small and few leaves are there. So this much leaf area, very small area of leaf, can't able to prepare sufficient amount of food for the entire plant body. So that's why over here, stem possess chlorophyll and perform photosynthesis. तो यूफोरबिया में सिलिंड्रिकल शेप होता है, fleshy cylindrical, and opuntia in that remember this flat structure. Now if you have any doubt in this, you can ask me now. Unmute and ask. Any doubt in this part? Okay, revision. So first modification of stem is which one? First we have learned, that is which one? Yes, storage of food, right? Storage of food first, that is storage of food. Now, in that, this is which example for this one? This structure, potato. Potato special name, remember? Tuber. On potato, eyes, axillary buds are present, which helps in vegetative propagation also. Next, okay, jugal. Unmute. Jugal.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me why this potato, ginger, even zaminkan store food in the stem region. Why? What is the necessity for that?
For when there is so much humidity, they have to they do not contain water. For that reason, this food
आप कौन से बारे में बात कर रहे हो? जुगल?
वो desert.
दिशा. में ये डेजर्ट है, ट्यूबर पोटैटो डेजर्ट प्लांट.
No, ma'am.
Then Shreya, go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, they store food in their stems because during the autumn season the leaves fall off, and if the food is stored in the leaves, it will be in vein, so that's why they
Wait.
store
Stored in? Food is stored in?
in stems, and if they store food in the leaves, the leaves will fall down during the autumn or during the dormant period, so the food will not be available, so that is why they store their food in the stem region.
Okay, आपने correct बोला. Just one thing is one mistake is there. आप food stored in leaf ये बोल रहे हो?
नहीं मैम, वो बोला कि food is not stored in leaves because during the dormant or
Leaf
during the
कभी भी
autumn
store नहीं
seasonal.
होता है. Sorry, food never store in leaf. Only
Yes.
leaf can prepare the food.
Yes.
Okay, so prepare बोलोगे तो वो correct है. Store word for leaf that is wrong. Huh? Okay. चलो गालव. गालव.
Hello.
हाँ चलो गालव आप आंसर दो same question.
Ma'am. So when there is a dormant period, for example, in autumn season when the leaves starts to fall, so the this cannot take place, as a result of which food will not be prepared. So for such a situation, the plant already prepared itself by storing the food inside the stem. As a result, they will be able to get food at a dormant period also.
Correct. Very good. Chalo. Next. In that first example, potato tuber. Second example, ginger, that we call rhizome or rootstock. And third, that is corm, zaminkand, amorphophallus, or the colocasia. Okay. Chalo. Next type of modification is which one? That we have studied. Galo, mute yourself. Next type of modification is which one? Stem tendrils, right? Khushi Desai, explain this. Khushi Desai.
Ma'am, the nodes of the stem develop buds. In some of the plants where support is required, these buds transform into tendrils. That these tendrils curl up onto surfaces which will provide the support to plant and help it grow.
Help it to climb erectly. Very good. Can you give some examples of plants?
Bitter gourd, bottle gourd,
Correct.
watermelon, etc.
Very good. Bitter gourd, watermelon, pumpkin, cucumber. Right? Very good. Excellent. Next modification. Next is which one? Bolo. Next modification. Correct. Kashish Rukade. Go ahead.
Ma'am, thorns comes from roots and they like protect from animals which eat stems.
That animals we call browsing animals.
Browsing animals, and they
on the which part of the stem exactly get modified to form thorn? No, nodes नहीं. Nodes के पास कौन सा स्ट्रक्चर होता है?
Axillary bud.
That is the correct answer. Okay. See, this is the entire node part. This lines. तो वो convert नहीं हो रहा है. उसके पास जो यहाँ पे axillary bud है, that converting to thorn. Very good. Ashish. Good. Chalo. After the in that examples, remember citrus and bougainvillea. Next one, next modification, photosynthesis. Right? Next modification, that's the photosynthesis. Who wants to explain this? Shreya is ready. Other one, wait on here or Kashish. Hello. Next. Okay, Shreya, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Here, the modification is that the nodes develop into these हेलो मैम।
बोलो श्रेया, बोलो बोलो।
वो म्यूट हो गया था, सॉरी।
हाँ बोलो बोलो।
These spines, because of the desert plants, cannot survive in the dryness, so this helps to prevent transpiration. So instead of leaves, these spines grow at the nodes. So therefore, that transpiration can be prevented, and the here only the stem is present and no leaves are there, and the photosynthesis is carried out only by the stem part, as they have chlorophyll inside them.
Okay, and that modified stem we call now?
Spines.
No,
Sorry.
modified stem.
Thorn. We call them thorns.
अरे modified stem which perform photosynthesis, that we call?
Okay, cactus.
Cactus plant का name है श्रेया, phylloclade.
अच्छा.
Yes or no? Okay, phylloclade. Remember, clade meaning what? Stem. Phyllo meaning leaf like. Clear है?
हाँ मैम.
Okay, thorn ये सबको mix मत करना.
हाँ मैम, वो तो पता है, पर ये
ठीक
सिर्फ वो स्पाइन्स वाला.
हाँ ठीक है. Okay, so phylloclade, remember, that helps in photosynthesis in this arid region plants. One is opuntia, other example euphorbia. opuntia के लिए याद रखना flat stem form होता है, and in euphorbia cylindrical shapes that stem axis form. Do you have any doubt in today's lecture? Then ask me now.